There's more to the Five Nights at Freddy's movie than just creepy mechanical monsters and jump scares, though there are plenty of those too. Let's dig into what all that mayhem really meant. The film's protagonist, Mike Schmidt, suffers from anxiety that's spurred by a traumatic incident from his childhood. When Mike was a kid, his younger brother Garrett was abducted while they were on a camping trip. Now, as an adult, he uses his dreams to figure out who took him, with no success. Not only does this nightmare cause him to struggle to keep a job, but it also affects his relationship with his younger sister Abby, who he cares for by himself. Mike's newest job, a seemingly harmless nighttime security gig at a closed children's party venue called Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, quickly becomes unsettling when the animatronics come to life at night. At first, they appear friendly as they develop a strong bond with Abby. Unfortunately, that's only a ruse so they can manipulate Mike's desire for answers about Garrett. The animatronic characters ultimately make a deal with him for Abby. Mike regretfully accepts, and the friendly characters turn violent to please their unseen master. Mike is nearly killed by his newfound animatronic foes, but he's rescued by his friend Vanessa, who discloses everything she knows about Freddy's.
Have you met them yet?
Met who?
This includes that her father, William Afton, is the orchestrator of this nightmare, and that the animatronics that Mike has been dealing with have a horrific past of their own. Decades ago, Afton, the mysterious owner of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, brought Freddy and the other animatronics to life by kidnapping children and stuffing them into the mechanical mascots. This caused their souls to be intertwined with the machinery. Now, Afton controls them through drawings that influence their beliefs, and is looking to add another child, Abby, to his collection.
They want to make her like them.
Now knowing all this, Mike heads back to Freddy Fazbear's to stop Freddy. Mike runs into Afton, who reveals himself to be the guy who gave Mike this job under the name Steve Raglan. With his own mechanized yellow bunny suit, Afton senselessly beats Mike. He's only thwarted by Abby, who uses her own drawings that show Freddy and the others what Afton did to them. She convinces them to betray Afton, just as the spring traps in his costume cause him to be locked in it forever. As the building falls apart, Freddy and his companions pull Afton away while Mike and Abby help a severely injured Vanessa escape. Sometime later, Mike visits Vanessa in the hospital and shares a family dinner with Abby, promising that they could see Freddy again one day. Meanwhile, one of the ghost children leaves Afton behind a locked door so that he suffers the same fates as his victims. At the start of the film, Mike blames himself for Garrett's abduction, searching for answers years after his disappearance. He even recreates and relives Garrett being taken through his dreams just to find clues. His frustrations from his failures also drive him to be incredibly cold towards Abby. He cruelly chastises her for having imaginary friends, seemingly wishing that Garrett was there instead of her. That's what makes him so vulnerable to the ghost children who inhabit Freddy and his cronies. He nearly loses Abby because of that pain. Mike instantly regrets his initial decision to trade Abby for Garrett and does everything he can to fix things. He realizes that Abby is just as important to him as Garrett was and sets out to stop Freddy from turning Abby into an animatronic. When Mike gets a moment alone with Abby, he apologizes for how he treated her and dedicates himself to being a better brother. Based on the film's ending, Mike seems to live up to that promise. He now acts as a better parental figure for Abby, sharing dinner with her just like their family used to do. Mike turns things around for himself and has the potential for a better relationship with Abby, no longer trapped by his guilt. As Mike finds a sort of redemption, Afton finally gets punished for his horrible crimes. In the climactic final battle, Afton is slowly cut down by the spring traps in his animatronic suit and becomes stuck inside it. As he bleeds out and the building falls apart, he's dragged away. We don't see what happens to him until the final scene, where Afton is in one of the back rooms. The ghost children leave him there for dead. He's still alive, but not going anywhere anytime soon.
The owner's just not ready to let it go yet.
The ghost children and the mechanical monsters they inhabit are no longer under Afton's control. Thanks to the picture that Abby draws of Afton killing the children, the magic bind that Afton has over Freddy and the other animatronics is broken. They're fully able to act on their own, and it's a key reason why they all turn on Afton in the end. Now, Freddy and his friends are more powerful than Afton, leaving him to the same fate they suffered before they died. It's hard to say whether Afton will simply die now, or if this could be the start of his return as a larger-than-life nightmare. But at least for now, his reign of terror has come to an end. The personal trauma Mike deals with is the emotional core of Five Nights at Freddy's. The film's depiction of how lingering grief can lead someone to lose themselves is a horror in itself. Although Mike's erratic behavior and cruel treatment of Abby make him tough to like at first, it's hard not to feel something for him as his trauma becomes clear. He's so desperate to find any resolution to what happened to Garrett that it's the only thing he dreams about. His hunger for the truth runs so deep that he uses his sleeping pills to fall into a deep slumber so that his dreams are more surreal. His residual anxiety causes him to lash out at others, including a man he mistakenly thinks is kidnapping a child. The film's depiction of Mike's stress is easily relatable to anyone who struggles to let go of the past or is haunted by it. It drives him to put Abby in peril and consumes him so greatly that it detaches from reality entirely. It's what makes Mike's growth so impactful, and there are some great moments, like Mike's apology to Abby and the realization of his mistakes, that emphasize him coming out of his own darkness. Although Five Nights at Freddy's features 5 main ghost children who have distinct connections to Freddy and his machine allies, there are surely more. Afton clearly has a pattern of abducting children, and the fact that he took Garrett so long ago likely means that he's been doing this for quite a while. It's very probable that Afton has put other children into mech suits over the years, and some of the other characters seen in the background could signify past attempts. In the back room that characters walk in and out of throughout the film, there's a dog character, possibly a reference to the urban legend of Sparky from the games, seen lying down. There's also that horrifying-looking husk that looks suspiciously like Circus Baby that Abby is nearly put into. They're broken apart now, but maybe these once housed the kids Afton took at some point. The possibility of there being more ghost children is especially strong considering that there are a lot more characters from the game still to make their debut. Afton's obsession with building these goofy animatronics and putting kids in them sadly has a long history, so who knows how many ghost kids are really out there. It's safe to say that there are more than 5. The ambiguity surrounding Garrett's fate makes it very possible that he's another ghost that Mike and Abby could meet in the near future. Although Afton admits to having taken Garrett when Mike was a kid, he's not exactly clear about what happened to him. He says that Garrett is gone, but that could just mean that he was stuffed into one of the animatronics. This mystery has strong potential to keep Mike and Abby around in the franchise and give them personal motivations to look for more of Freddy's companions. The reemergence of Garrett as a ghost child also could help them fill in the gaps of what happened while he was with Afton. It could lead to more explanation of how Afton brings these animatronics to life, as well as who he really is, especially since Afton is largely absent throughout most of the film. Garrett could be the key to really understanding Afton in this weird world where ghosts and machines combine to create uncanny horrors. The fates of Freddy and his pals are also left ambiguous and could have some strong implications for what's next in their story. The control that Afton has had over them is now destroyed, so they're basically free to do whatever they want. After they leave Afton to either die or become merged with his costume, the characters could leave the place altogether and find somewhere else to call home. Maybe they go and find Abby to rekindle their friendship, or perhaps their exit from Freddy Fazbear's Pizza could result in them visiting some of the other locations from the games. Longtime Five Nights at Freddy's fans know that as more sequels came out, the series continually expanded outside of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Perhaps the next film could be the right time to bring fans to Freddy's Frights, a horror-centric attraction that acted as the 3rd game's setting. Or there's potential for the characters to explore the sister location from the 5th game, Circus Baby's Entertainment and Rental, and introduce Circus Baby to the mix. The options are wide open for what Freddy and his friends are up to, especially now that they seem to be fully autonomous.
There are ghost children possessing giant robots? Thanks for the heads up.
There's currently no confirmation of a sequel to Five Nights at Freddy's going into development, but the chances of it happening are very high. The film already made its money back before it even hit theaters, thanks to the sale of streaming and theatrical distribution rights. So what could happen in a potential sequel? The ending of the film doesn't give many hints, nor does the mid-credits scene, since it's basically just a fun scare gag with the Balloon Boy statue. We can guess, though, that the movies will probably continue the story of the games, remixing some of the events and introductions. It's worth noting that the film doesn't follow the games beat for beat, and introduces things that don't appear until later games. For instance, Springtrap, who is represented by Afton's costume choice, doesn't appear until the 3rd game. This means that other unseen characters and locations can appear at any point. A sequel could also weave together plot points from the other games to create a narrative cocktail of the franchise's best parts. So while a Five Nights at Freddy's sequel is almost certainly on the horizon, it won't exactly be predictable for fans of the games. When Matthew Lillard, who plays Afton, appeared on the weekly MTG podcast to talk about Magic: The Gathering, he also revealed some interesting information about his contract.
I just got cast in a movie called Five Nights at Freddy's. It's a 3-picture deal with Universal and Blumhouse.
Unless Lillard is also planning to appear in other Universal and Blumhouse projects as part of that deal, it can be assumed that he's going to be part of a Five Nights trilogy. This news lines up with director Emma Tommy's desire to see the films be the start of a franchise she'd like to return to. Tommy told Screen Rant that there's so much more for potential sequels to explore, saying, "Oh my gosh, well, the lore's massive. There was no way we were ever going to fit everything into one film, nor was it the intention. So the answer is yes, there's so much to potentially bring into any sequel should we be lucky enough to make them. So according to those directly involved, fans can have at least some expectation of more Five Nights at Freddy's films that delve deeper into the lore."